Good afternoon, world. This is your host, Jania Butler, and we are here today with the New American Perspective. Welcome to the New American Perspective world. This is your host, Jania Butler, here on Millennium News 24. We got a great show for you today. Have you been tuning in? Have you been watching this Twilight Zone that we're in America right now? Have you been paying attention? I need to know that first. Okay, so first off the press, President Trump was indicted again. Yes, people, indicted again. Now, what he was indicted for, really, they just excluded the stuff. If you remember last month, the Supreme Court had gave him immunity over presidential acts. So the indictment, it was kind of like a redo of the affidavit. So the indictment took out the exclusions of the presidential act so they can make sure that they don't have to go back, to the table again. Okay, so President Trump indicted again. Okay, and so have you seen what was going on? Vice President Kamala. Now you say this comma, and how you say Kamala. Remember, I was having trouble before, so we found it out. And you say comma, like Kamala. Vice President Kamala Harris. She has chose her running mate, Tim Walz. I know he's a Minnesota governor, sitting a Minnesota governor. You know, if we haven't talked about it, do you remember the DNC last week? I think some of us cringed, some of us were excited. And I think where they went with it is they went party mode with it. Like I've said, the black vote is very important in this election and every election, local elections as well, but very important in this election because black people are actually leaving the Democratic Party. Before, it was okay when black people wouldn't participate. They rather for us not to participate. A particular Republican friend of mine, he said, let's just not have them vote because you get to count your base. Remember, this is a numbers game. So it's a base of people, of likely voters. So black people, sometimes we like to vote, sometimes we don't. So we're the non-traditional voter, a voter that doesn't vote traditionally, doesn't get up today and say, well, it's Tuesday, November 5th, election day. Let me go do my civic duty of being a citizen of this country and go vote. So we are the non-traditional voter, okay? So Donald Trump has gone after some non-traditional voters. Harris Walsh is going after the traditional voter and using the same old tactics every single time. And that's what really bothers me about this, because they continue to use the same tactics and we continue to fall for it. So, I mean, they just get bigger and bigger. But the DNC, they use the hip hop. They had Common, Little John, Patti LaBelle. I mean, they did it up. This was the concert and the ticket to be at, right? But they didn't talk about any policy. They didn't talk about what you're going to do different from Biden. They talked about none of that. Okay, so what were they really doing? They're buying her time. And we have to realize that that's what they're doing. They're buying her time to figure out what they have to say to get the American people to vote their way. So she nominates Governor Walz. Governor Walz was the Minnesota governor who was in position when George Floyd was killed. So he resonates with the black folks. Everybody's got to have a little resonation with the black folks. So he resonates with the black folks, but they're little socialists in their agenda. So we have to be very careful. They say that he's further than Bernie Sanders on the rightist, okay? And we really don't know him, so I can't, fully judge him. He's 59 years old. Him and Kamala are the same age, by the way. So, maybe his family's hair just whites out really whites out really early, but they're the same age. So again, Trump has been indicted. My problem with this is that they continue to use the justice system to fight this presidential battle, right? So in the middle of him running for office, I mean, basically they're saying that we don't want you to run. You can't run, and we'll stop you if you do run. And that's what they're saying. But that's what I'm saying. So why are we not, as the people, mad at that? Why are we not, as the people, when we see that our rights as citizens of the United States are being taken away from us? We see what's happening to him, and to only a fair point. And now he should see what's been happening to us, right? So his comment shouldn't be, well, the black people understand me because of what I'm going through. Now, no, you need to understand the black people because of what you're going through. Because the same system that they have dumped on your head, the reason why they do this so well to you, sir, is because they've been doing it to us. And this is what we've been living on. And this is what we've been getting by with. And we haven't had the money, right, to be able to fight to your level, to be able to fight and still stand up as the president. They're not going to knock him down. He's going to get to November 5th, God willing. Okay. And so it's going to be a very small margin of people. So everybody, especially in the battleground states, must get out, because it is you. I cannot necessarily help dictate the presidential election from here in New York, because New York is a blue state. So New York is going to go to Kamala Harris unless we step up in New York, which I think that we can, which people are now organizing around in New York to do so. And so this is what we need, because people are saying, no, we can't do this. 4 more. She will get 8 more years. Now, they might, throw her away in the 4 years, but the agenda is there. When Barack comes and they have that closed door meeting, remember they did that with Hillary too. They had that closed door meeting with Hillary, and they was like, yo, Hill, what's up? You down with the plan? You gonna run the science? And they ran her. But I'm gonna say that because Trump beat Hillary, he could definitely beat Kamala. Now, what Kamala has to do is she's got to get her black numbers up. Now, this is where we come into play, right? Nobody is looking for Trump to get 85% of the black vote. And I think black people get disillusioned by that. We know that you're not going to do that, okay? But what they're looking for is to get more than Biden got and more than the 20%. They were only getting 5% or less before of the black vote. Now they're going to look to get 20 or 25%, and a large number of those may be black men. Now, I'm big on this because I believe that black men in America need to stand up. And we have a women regime that's pulling up, and the black women are out. I mean, listen, it's hard to beat some black women at anything, okay? But this first generation, because Miss Harris is a first generation American. I will not refer to her as a black American and get on board and for people trying to insult me and insult my family and insult my history of what a black woman is in America. I'm insulted by that because my family are descendants of slaves. So now I have to further bury that history and the fact that this woman, who's a first generation American, is trying to claim that place. So that's a strike for me. Then, you got your videos, and she says a lot. Her history is bad on voting. Most people know that. A few years ago, she tried to run for office, and it didn't work out. She got beat out there. She got beat up. They said, we don't want any. And then they say that she's a DEI hire because Biden picked her to secure the black vote. So now she knows what kind of symbol she is. I swear I wish I could be on board, championing this woman in, but it's more of champion the puppet in. She's not going to have power, right? She's not, I'm big on business. And she hasn't said a thing to me about business, how, entrepreneurs are going to strive. She hasn't said a thing to me about any of that. So I'm just, I'm okay on it. I'm okay on it. I'm really scared. It's really starting to scare me. Let me be honest with you. It's really starting to scare me because people in the United States believe the hype, right? So you could throw on a big party and you'll totally miss the message. So some villains, some terrorists are out here tearing down America, letting all these migrants in. The migrants are here to take over the Black and brown communities. Are we clear about that? They work faster. They work harder. They want it more. They're working for their kids. They have nothing to lose. We're over here Americanized. We think that, we're on, our system from sea to shining sea. We think that everything is good, and it is good to a degree. But the community is not free. And so now you bring in this illegal group of immigrants. And I feel like if they can break the law, why can't we? Why are so many of my brothers and sisters locked up for breaking the law if they can break the law? A law is a law. Maybe a misdemeanor, maybe this and that. But if I jump over the train, I'm going to jail. Turnstile at the train station. So I think we need to look at what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to do with our vote. Now, there's a lot of people out here shaming people for their decisions because there is a lot of folks. There is a lot of folks that are shaming people for their decisions on which way that they want to vote. Okay, you have Plies. Plies is a rapper. I thought he was cute because he would get up and, have these Plies-isms, and he would talk all the time about the women that he's abusing and, that he's disrespecting and basic life stuff of him going from the gutter to being a millionaire in Florida and all that stuff. But now somebody is paying him to work his page, and he's starting to believe the hype. So so you got Plies, you got Ricky Smiley, and you got Steve Harvey, all telling people to stand down. We're going to stand down. You got all these celebrities saying, stand down and let this woman get into office. Don't ask her no questions. Throw her softballs and let her get there. Now, that would be good if she was down for us. If she was on our side, if we knew for a fact that she was going to carry out the plan. But it's really the contrary, because we know for a fact that she is not on board with our issue. She didn't even meet with Ice Cube. So now she wants to meet with Uncle Luke. She sat down with Uncle Luke. Now, she obviously doesn't know her hip hop, okay? She said that the best rapper alive was Tupac, and she was grabbing for straws. And I give you a strike for that, Angela Rye, because you did not chin check her the right way. You was throwing those softballs, those grapefruits. I get it. We want to look out for our people. But see, the group, I have to say this. In America, there's really the house N-word and the field N-word. Okay? There's really that going on out here. And so you got the house and Negroes. I'm going to call them Negroes today. You got the house Negroes who are in the house and saying, oh, well, everything is so beautiful. Everything is so prim and pristine here. Oh, what could be wrong? You field Negroes need to work a little harder and maybe you'll get a house position. And that's what's happening right here in America. So the house Negroes will say, hey, did you get an invitation to the White House cookout? Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, you must be out there picking cotton. And so we're all out here thinking that these house Negroes are going to go to the house, to the massa, and say, massa, because they're still calling them massa. They're going to say, massa, can the field Negroes come in for a spell? And then all of a sudden they say, no, they can't come in at this point. So the field Negroes are still out in the field, sweating, hot, none of the luxuries. None of the luxuries. But they're not getting helped by the people that are supposed to help them because they're good. So they're good with the regime. So us field Negroes, okay, field coloreds, because I don't want to say that this is just black. I want to say that this is everybody. Us field Negroes are going to have to flip the house. And we're going to have to get enough of us that have courage, because this takes courage, people. This takes real courage to flip the house in this particular manner. Remember, Joe Biden said, "You ain't black." He was talking to the House. He was talking to everybody. But the House Negroes said, "Yes, I am, sir. I'm voting for you." The field Negroes said, "I guess I ain't black then." So when they're talking to us in this language and bringing up post-traumatic trauma, people, we are traumatized here in America. Okay? We're traumatized. And so as they're bringing up this post-traumatic trauma, erasing the fact that this woman is a first-generation American. Okay? Jamaican American. You're erasing our ability to go after reparations. Because who's getting the reparations? You let a black woman go in the White House. So when we get down to the reparations, is she not black? Do people like her, first generation Americans, get reparations? This is why the conversation is so big and so vast. It's a Jedi mind trick, people. And what are we going to do about it? We're going to sit back and let them just usher in a new form of slavery. So you got the migrants coming in, like I said. They're coming in hard to work. They work faster. They know what they're doing. Construction, food, some other jobs. They selling the fruit. They're delivering. They're coming in to work, but they're going to work their way up. Look at LA. Look at Arizona. Look at Texas. Look at those forms of Mexicans. They're a different form, people, and they can get on point just like anybody else. But what our problem is in America is that we don't have a system. So it was us, the slave master, and the slaves. That's where we started. And then, because of the liberation of the slaves, opened it up for everybody else. For America to be free, for you to get opportunity out of America on the backs of the foundational Black Americans. Everybody has come in. Now, did the foundational Black American get their just due? Did they get their 40 acres and a mule? No. So why can't we just handle that? Because are you trying to tell us we have to be the permanent underclass? Because if that's the fact, I'm going to have to renege on that. I'm going to have to throw a bad, faulty book at you. And this is what I think that the Harris administration is looking to push in. They are looking to go to futuristic. They are looking to say, listen, we might struggle for a minute, another 8 years. We're going to struggle, but 8 years, we're going to have electric cars. 8 years, we're going to see a whole new world. 8 years, we're going to go through this. And they're telling us to pay the price. And I'm saying, I don't think that we have to go that quick. I don't think that my life has to be under duress because they want to fasten everything up. Price of bread, $7, $8. What are we talking about? Eggs is going to be $10. Gas, $10 a gallon. We can't go anywhere. They are crippling us. And I don't know how you can decide that, I just don't want to hear Trump's mouth. I want to vote myself into slavery. I want to vote myself into a place that hasn't been working because they got us conditioned. Remember Brave New World? Anybody my age, did you guys read Brave New World? And it talked about the utopia that they're showing us now where the TV screens, we're looking at the TV where the TV can watch you and you can watch it. And they're telling us that they're doing it, but we're not paying it any attention. So they have conditioned us to go through the motions with them. And we have to decide that we're not going to do it. And if we don't do it now, my big thing with Trump, people, is Trump is going to let us get some money, people, in America. Trump is going to let us get some money in America. We need somebody to allow us to do it before it's too late. Everybody else has a world domination plan and everything, and Trump is outside the box. Trump is a good old American patriot that loves America. Okay, you can't deny that. You can't deny he loves America. I believe that Trump will figure out a way where we go from $5 a gallon in gas back down to $2 a gallon, even if he has to steal it. All y'all talking about, he's a convicted felon. So is 60% of the black men. So are they tarnished? Are they out to snacks too? Because Trump didn't even do any violent attacks. So you saying that he's a convicted felon. So are you throwing everybody else out? You got our own convicted felons saying that, he's a convicted felon. He shouldn't be the president. I don't know where we're going with this, people. And so I want to see real action. I want us to step up in the community and say, we're not for it. And what I realize is that we're just two different factions of people. There are people that want to live with the fantasy and people that want to live with the truth. I happen to be one of the truth seekers. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, hopefully we'll have a guest online with us today. And when we come back, we'll talk more about what's happening here in America. We're here on Millennium News 24. Tune in with your Roku, your Amazon Fire, your Apple TV, Sky Network, Horizon Network, all branded smart TVs. So don't talk about you can't find us. We're here online, Millennium News 24.com, Millennium TV24.com. We're here for you today, 24 hours a day, and forevermore. This is the New American Perspective. This is your host, Jania Butler, and we'll be right back. And we are back. You like that little beat? That shout out to Phantom of the Beat for that beautiful intro. We collaborate and we doing stuff. I'm hip hop and politics and everything in between. This is your host, Jania Butler, with the New American Perspective. Now, let me see what we should be talking about. Like I said, we know Trump is down for America. Now, Harris took a wild trip to get to where she's at, right? She took a journey to get there. So I don't know if she's for America or she's for herself. I think that in our community, what we do is we focus so much on the one-offs, right? We focus on people going, oh, we got the Supreme Court justice. And I think that there's a need for that. That it's necessary for us to make sure that we have a Supreme Court justice, to make sure that, if I'm low income, I can get a house, to make sure that the diabetes medicine is good. But that I don't want as my full concessions. Those are givens, right? But you're giving me the basis and saying, well, this is what we did for you. But in my community, we're screaming about a hate crime bill. And why can't we have a hate crime bill? Why is it okay to hate the black man? Why is that okay? Why are we allowing for that type of space? Okay, so we're screaming about the hate crime bill. What are we doing about it, Trump? What are we doing about it? Harris? We're screaming about reparations. What are we doing about it, Trump? What are we doing about it, Harris? Now, they would like us. Harris is looking at, okay, well, if I can stabilize the bleeding coming out of the Democratic Party from black men and black people exiting the party and looking for something else. If I can control that bleeding by not saying stuff and just doing the hype, the fresh and the friendly stuff, I mean, it's easy to woo us. All you got to do is invite us to the party. Free drinks, everything. Free drinks, little hors d'oeuvres, make us feel good and, some good entertainment, some quality folks. They're the house Negroes, people. Now, I'm going to go ahead out in the field with and some people would say, well, Jania, aren't you a house Negro? I'm a silly house Negro because I went outside with the field Negroes and said, come on, let's go inside. Didn't realize they was going to lock the door on me too and say, you want to be a field Negro? You be a field Negro. So I said field Negro it is. And then we coming up. Okay, so what do we have to talk about here? We got a guest coming on shortly. So here's my question to you. Question of the week. Do you see the agenda that's in front of you? Do you see it? Because I need to know at this point in time if it's apparent that you see what's going on. You see that this woman, they threw her into the punch. And she played her cards right. Like I said, she played her cards right because there was no other way that they were going to put her in the position and applaud her like this to get her through. So she played her cards right when she took that vice president's position. She knew Biden wasn't going to make it no 8 years. She's sitting there looking at him. She said, well, if he can make it 8 years, she knew that what the stakes was, right? She kept her mouth shut. She didn't say a word for 4 years, So now the fact she don't say a word, she don't do nothing. Now she come out, she erases everything that we knew about her before these 4 years. It's a Jedi mind trick, okay? It is an absolute Jedi mind trick on how that's going. Hold on one second. That's my guess. So now what we're looking at, what I want to see is that what we're looking at, they're using the fact in the black community that they'll take a racist, right? Our hate for racism, our need to get back at racism. We can't stand it. You say Donald Trump tried to lock up the Central Park 5 by putting out ads and he was pushing it and everything like that. Horrible thing, horrible ordeal, craziness, right? So you say, oh, he tried to do that. They'll find the racist little piece. Can you talk about Biden and this racist stuff? Like, can you talk about this stuff? But they find the little racism in us and that we hate. And then say, hate that over putting yourself in a struggling position. Over $10 eggs. Over $10 milk. Everything in the store is $5 and better. I could count the stuff in my cart and go, at least 5. Let me say at least 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Everything's in multiples of 5. And we're going for this. And we're going for everything because we think the government is here for us. We think the government is working for us. Now, we could clean up the community ourselves. We've got to look at where we're at, people. We've got to look at, hey, maybe we got to step out here on our own. And maybe it's not a lot of people. And it never has been. But if we look over the Republican agendas for a lifetime, it's always been a group of Black folks that made the changing decision for the rest of the community. It's not so much that it's the Republican thing. It's the simple fact that it's a Republican thing, but it's the Black people that have the courage that need to step up. And so what I'm asking you today, Black, white, indifferent, Indian, Asian, everything, are you going to be the difference in America? Are you going to stand with a regime that we see that's a clown circus? We see they're about to play with us. We know what we're getting out of Donald Trump. Everybody is saying, President Trump, you got to stop name calling. They don't want to hear the name calling. They want to hear facts. They are waiting for you to step up. You have showed us what the American way looks like, but you got to bring this home. You got to bring it home. Because again, I can't stand 4 more years of what this looks like now. I can't. I'm waiting for our guest to come on. Her name is Ashley Gibbs. Ashley is a talented young lady in the New York community, and she does a lot of stuff. She's into politics. She worked with the Jamal Bowman campaign. She works with Erica Ford over in the Bronx over in Queens with the I Love My Life campaign. And she's been doing her thing out here. And she's been on the borderline. She'll act like when she comes on watch, she'll act like she's all for Republicans. But she's on the borderline. And I think a lot of people feel this way in America. I think a lot of people don't know where they lie. They don't know if they're voting. Everybody, you know why? Because they're confused. Because they can see that there is crazy. Now, you tell me not to vote for a racist, but then you tell me to vote for this woman that don't sound right either. So it's like, I think that people are in between and don't know which way to vote, don't know what we're really talking about, don't know what it means. And so I think that we need to define what that voting process is. When you vote, it's not only your American right. It is your opportunity to say that my voice in America counts. Now, some of us, again, live in states to where, hey, we like democratic values. So some people, like in New York, the Republicans in New York moved down to Florida and they flipped that state into a red state. Okay? And because they said, we're going to go where other like-minded people are. We're going to go and live like we want to live in other states because this state is not doing it. Now, I'm not telling you to move because you may not be into politics, but I'm telling you to pay attention because your vote does matter. Now the people that are waking up are in Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, 6 states, 6 swing states that are going to determine the election. So what you will see in those states is an abundance of interaction with these presidential candidates. They're going to be there as much as possible, 2 to 3 times a day if they could, because your vote counts, and it'll be a small margin, 100,000 votes that separates the people, that separates it. So every vote definitely counts. Every vote counts. Okay? And so I don't want you to get disillusioned that everything that we're seeing, all the fanfare, they're spending big money. It's about $2 billion just in super PAC spending money. The Trump campaign spent $8.5 million a day for the last 2 weeks talking about Kamala Harris, attack ads on Kamala Harris. And they're working. Because if you see everybody's excitement, how could Trump even win, to now they're dead even. Now this is where the black vote and the minority votes come in. Because who's going to tip it over? You have the white people that are neck and neck. And you see, nobody's complaining about white people on either one of these sides, when now they're neck and neck. You got half of them saying Democrat, half of them saying Republican. What's wrong with that? So now what's wrong with our black folks saying the same thing? What's wrong with half of us saying Republican and half +1 or +2 on whoever's side is saying Democrat? And that's how the process is tipped over. That's how that works, people. Do you understand? So that's where we're at with it. And that's what we're looking at. So we're looking at swaying this person that first, okay, so if you want to vote in the November election, you have up until basically October 1st or October 15th, depending on what your state says, to register to vote if you want to vote in the November election. So go get registered today. That's your first step. Okay? And choose which party that you want to be a part of. Because the Democrats will do a registration. The Democrats will need to do a registration process, and then they will begin to say, okay, this is the registration process. And the registration process, they'll click, oh, Democrat. So now when you register to vote as a Democrat, they've got you signed up to vote in the Democratic primary. That's where they like to win their elections, because there's no Republicans that can win against a black community or a colored community. You could get Hispanics, you could get other people in between, but no Republicans are going to win because we're anti them. But we don't give ourselves a chance, because what about the black Republicans who want to see the community in another direction? I want to change New York right now. I'm going to run for Congress again. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, stop throwing trash on the street. The second thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go into every projects in New York. I'm going to take our dump trucks and I'm going to have them clean up all of that garbage that is surrounding, that's outside, thrown out windows, burnt up. What is this? Do we expect our children to be able to get a good education if they come outside of their building? And the projects in New York City is the largest mass concentration of where black folks are. So how do we expect them to get an education if they come outside and they've got a garbage dump out here, a landfill in front of them as they're going to school? As that this is what I wake up in the morning and I go to dream. How is that possible, people? I can't tell. So it's just really ridiculous. I'm sorry, my guest is piping in. Hold on one second. It's really ridiculous on what's happening out here. It's really ridiculous. And these are Democratic run cities. So this is not about, well, nobody's saying let some white Republicans come in and say this. Let the black Republican come into your community. You got Darius Mayfield over here in New Jersey. Got a young lady in Baltimore, Danielle. She's running for Congress. You got to tap into these people because these people have the courage. You got a man over here in Queens. I got to get his name. Running, Republican, because we're waking up. Why are we allowing the Democratic establishment to control us? I don't get it. And I need it to stop, people. I need you to wake up. I need you to get some courage, you to get a little heart, and you to say, oh, well, I can deal with a person who we call racist. Every Republican white person is racist, according to you. Does that really make sense? Tell me how that works. Every Republican white person is racist. And every Democratic white person is not. What are you talking about? How is that possible? Where is your narrative? That's why people don't respect us. Because we don't even go along with the facts. We go along with our influencers. And I'm going to start calling them our handlers. Because Jermaine Dupri, he said something. Oh, Roland said, oh, Jermaine, I wish you would have talked to me before you got out there and said that. So when you see all of this, what are they protecting us from? Roland, I need you to get me what I need while you're over there chafing for Kamala. I need you to get me what I need, Roland. I need you to stop telling me what they did for me and tell me what we're going to do now. I don't like what they did for me. Is that okay? I want something that deals in entrepreneurship because that's where we are. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure Network for having 20,000, 30,000 people out in Georgia, entrepreneurs out in Georgia. If that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. But then now let's talk about this weekend, the Peace and Unity Fest, Ghostface Killer and Friends. You got it's hosted by Method Man, Jules Santana. You know, they got a whole host of folks popping out for Ghostface Killer out in Staten Island. Shout out to Ghostface and all the work that he does. And, you know, it's a fun-loving guy that was really strong for the community, standing up for Staten Island. Snug Harbor this weekend, Peace and Unity Fest, Staten Island. So we got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know where my guest is yet again. So let me tell you this. Biden's DACA plan to let in 500,000 to give citizenship to 500,000 spouses of American citizens to stay in the country. The people who have been in the country for 10 years. She says she's on. I don't see her. She's in there. They have been in the country for 10 years. And my guest is on. So if you could pop her on, that would be great. Has been in the country for 10 years and they've been blocked from a Texas court. So that blocks 500,000 people from getting their citizenship. Now it's real in the field out here. Okay. So you got 100,000, you got 500,000 people, 500,000 people that have been in the country for 10 years. So now if you've been in the country 10 years and you're not a citizen, we do have to look at our immigration system. I'm not saying that because it's way too long. These people that are coming in the country right now, they're going to be here for 10 years before they even get seen and go through the process and learn the rules and regulations. 10 years. That's a long time. So I take my hat off to them. This is my bipolar moment because I take my hat off to them. My guest is on StreamYard. I take my hat off to them because they're out here working it. Okay. They are out here crossing the border, coming from way yonder to get here to now put their families in turmoil for 10 years. So they will be known, as those great migrators that came through from these different countries to get to America. Because so America has a rich story. I don't want to say that. America is an immigrant country. We all come here from some way, somehow. Native Americans, shout out to Native Americans who were here on the land first, who was cultivating the land first, and then those who came behind it. My guest is on. I can't see her. Can you hear me, Ashley? So she can't hear me, or I think she could see me, but she's not on. Can you click her on? So again, we have to really think about where we're going. And I hope that we've got enough fight within us to really fight this. And again, we don't need all Black Americans to step up, because some of us are still in the house, right? And some of us are in the field. And this is the field Negroes revolt. And this is not a violent or dangerous situation that we're talking about. We're talking about going out here, getting our rights as American citizens and living our lives out. We shouldn't have to wait 4 years and for an opportunity. Like I said, this opportunity with Donald Trump is only going to come once in a lifetime. There's nobody like him. I'm not saying that he's God. I'm not saying that he's anything, but he's going to give us the opportunity that we need. He's not going to hold us back. He's known what we've done in this country. He knows what we deserve. And before we start, because other people are going to give it to other people before we get it and tell us, oh, it's so bad that you guys are treated like this in this country. We do not have to be like that. That does not have to be our reality. And we have to be real to ourselves and understand, hey, these people are holding us up. These people don't want us to get ahead for whatever reason. And that means, and now I'm saying to Common, I'm saying to anybody that steps out, what are you doing for our community? What do you care? There she goes. Hey, Miss.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. This is Miss Ashley Gibbs, ladies and gents.
Good afternoon.
Comes to us as a friend of the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, Ash, give us a little, 30-second rundown about your powerhouse and how you that girl.
Well, I'm the CEO of Silver Bull Management Group, which is a supportive housing company here in New York City. We provide housing for special needs housing, as well as anything that is considered needed in terms of the housing space, where I'm also the CEO and communications director for Blue Ninja Media Group, which represents a ton of powerhouses here in the United States. Jania, I appreciate the opportunity to come on your show today, and I look forward to diving right into these topics. The political realm is insane, and there's so much to talk about. So let's go.
You didn't hear me talking about you a little earlier. I talked about you behind your back. You didn't hear me yet.
Oh, you talked about me behind my back?
I was telling the audience about you. I said she gonna act like she Republican, but you really on the fence.
Oh my God.
I said that. Let me say why I said that and what I told the audience as well. I said that you are the today's voter, right?
Right.
The today's voter that feels some type of way where that looks good, but this feels better, right? And so tell us about that. Tell us about how you feel about the election process right now. So-called Black woman running as the vice for presidency, right? You got Trump, who we've had. Tell us how you feel.
I have a lot of mixed emotions with this political season, right? Because we started out with a candidate that we just knew wasn't able to fulfill the duty, right? And that's on the Democratic side. And just to be clear, that's Joe Biden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the switch off was a little bit unfair to the Republican Party because it's like, how do you just switch up the candidate in the middle of a season? That's a
Fact.
little bit debatable, but we're past that. So we got to move forward. We can't stay stagnant. Now we have a candidate who has accepted the nomination, and we have to deal with what she has to offer. Now, has she offered us anything that is executable? That's still up in the air, right? But at the same time, I want to jump over to the Republicans. Yes, I am a Republican registered, but I still have a lot of questions. What is really the executable plan on the Republican side? There's a lot of controversy between the two candidates in terms of name calling and being, just negative towards one another, but we're not getting to the real issues. The real issues is what is at hand, and that is not being addressed, nor on either side, right? And we're making this a big party, not only from the Democratic side, we're making it a big party on the Republican side. We need to get down and dirty and address the real issues that the American people need to hear. That's where we are, and that's where we should be going. It's so many other little, things that are interfering in the election that has so many people saying, I don't even want to vote. I don't even want to be involved.
Right.
Like, this is
I'm hearing that.
nonsense, right?
And
So,
that's what they want us to do too. We have to put that into perspective is that they want a group to not vote, right? Because that's
absolutely.
that they don't have to count. But go ahead.
Right. So, just with that being said, do I like Kamala? I like Kamala because I do feel like she did every single step it takes to get to this position. I do feel that. And that just has to be addressed. I don't care if you don't like her. You've got to give credit where credit is due. Is she black? We're not going to ever question anybody's heritage because we do know that her father is Jamaican. I don't care if his mother, excuse me, is a white woman, so called. We don't know what their ancestry is really, right? Have you done any blood tests? So we
We
got to stop questioning that.
know that.
We
Why
got to
can't
stop questioning that. That's irrelevant at this point. Let's get to the real nitty gritty. What is she going to do? How is she going to execute it? I like the little topics that she came up with. That's not enough. Where's the real economics conversations? Trump has those. That's one thing that I give him. He's an economic kind of guy, right? He knows about money. He knows about big business. But the way he comes off is very brash. He has a lot of circumstances behind him that people feel is like I don't know. It gives you that aha moment. Like maybe that's not somebody I want to deal with. But then do you question everybody in America who are going through different issues? So you have to look at all the tables that are turning. It's not just, one sided. I do feel like the Democrats have a little bit of an edge right now because Trump is, I don't know, I feel like he's a little bit flustered. I feel like he continues to allow them to get him to a place where he speaks and it comes off wrong. And of course, the media is going to spin everything the way they need it to be spun, right? So, just with that being said, that's how a lot of individuals in America are feeling. We don't feel like the real issues are being addressed for the average American person. Maybe for the rich, and maybe for the under resourced, because I want to say the right words, maybe for the under resourced people who are getting insulin, people who are interested in inflation being lowered. I think that's around the board. I mean, even if
let me
you're rich or poor.
let me ask you a question as you say that. So when we say, maybe it's for the underserved in the community, where and I hear you saying that you're not served, but do you understand that you're in that position where you don't need to be underserved, you don't need to be overserved, but I need to be served, right? And so, do you understand that you're in that position that maybe not even getting any outreach or anybody reaching out to you to say, "Hey, we're talking to you"? Does that say that he, like, when you go to church, the pastor is the pastor talking to me today, right? But do
Right.
you feel like the politicians are doing that for you?
Well, I feel like that comes from a long journey, to be honest. Like we've been doing this since inception. Everybody's running a campaign, right? So they're going to say what they need to say to get people to adhere to the polls, really, right? But at the end of the day, it doesn't speak to me personally, nor does it speak to a lot of my colleagues, right? Because I'm a small business owner and I want to understand, like, why does it take so much to be a small business owner when that's supposed to be the American dream? Why does it take so much to buy a property if my credit is in shambles because I have a small business and I'm not able to meet all my bills? That's why my credit is in shambles. Not mine
Right,
personally, but
right,
in general, right? So there are resources out here in America for small businesses and for working people, but they don't even know about half of them because they're not privy to where they're located or how to even access them. And those are the things that need to come to the forefront. We need more programming that is really accessible. We don't need to put money with nonprofits that don't do anything for our communities. We need money with the people who are really on the ground, who touch the ground, and who can really make a difference. And that's from
right.
either side. That's from either side. I don't care if it's Democratic or Republican, it's either side, right? And now that we have RFK coming in the poll and he's now contributed towards the Trump campaign, I think that the Democrats have a problem because some of the issues that RFK has pointed out is a lot of the issues that the Democratic Party has come to the table with. And that is a problem. Because if Trump is smart, he will sit down and go over these issues with RFK and come up with a real plan. Not 2025, even if he's involved, if he's not involved, that's still shaky. We don't know if that's real. Who cares? Let's get to what is real, right? Come up with 2025 Plan G, right? Name it something else and come up with what it really should be saying if you're not involved, right? And the Democratic Party should be doing the same thing. You guys should be calling it the Harris GGT. Who cares? Just
Mm-hmm.
come up with what it's going to really be
Well,
and how is it executable. Stop giving me bullet points. How you going to
okay.
roll it out?
Well, okay, but we only got 70 something days. And Trump does have a 20-point plan. There's 2 points on the plan that I like. I mean, I like, there's a lot of stuff. They're all good. But is rebuilding cities. Now, you are a housing guru, real estate all over the country.
Right.
And when we talk about rebuilding cities, tell me what goes into that. What would Trump have to say to you to really make that stick and really make you feel good about that?
Well, Trump already started the process with the opportunity zones. He already put that in the street, right? So now what are you going to do? How are you going to build on that? Are you going to give our people tax incentives? And not just the blacks. Like, I don't like that we segregate everybody, the blacks, the Hispanics, the Caucasians, the Asians. A person is a person. Whoever can really get the job done for me is the person, right? I do want more for our people as African Americans because I am a black woman of West Indian descent. But at the end of the day, I still
Up
work
for
with
debate
other.
with the black woman, up for debate, but go ahead.
I'm a black woman of West Indian
You
descent.
want to be a black woman.
I
See,
am a
now
black woman with
let's get to
West
that.
Indian
You
descent.
want to be a black woman.
This is hilarious, but I've never heard anybody say I'm not a black woman. I'm definitely a black woman. But with that being said, I do feel like Trump has to come to the table with more tax incentives for developers so that they're able to build. I do feel like they should be given some of the work money as a loan and not make the process so difficult to obtain, right? Because when you're going to be a developer, it's a lot that is entailed in that process. And you could do tax incentives, but then how am I going to get the money to do the work? Okay.
Right.
We need to offer jobs. How do we offer jobs if we can't pay people? Right? We can't wait to pay someone after they put the work in. That does not work. People have families to tend to and take care of. And that goes for the Democratic Party as well. Yes, 300,000 new homes for people to live in. Okay, that's great. And you want to give them 25,000 down on the property, but I need you to get more into what that really looks like, right? I need you to get into $25,000 down on a property. If your credit is still not in a good space, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get the damn deal, right? You're not going to get it. It's just never going to happen. And those things are not being said.
So
It
how
seems
do we make them all work at the same time? Because I think that's what we need to do in our communities is that we get one, peanut butter, no jelly, right? Kool-Aid, no sugar. How do we get all those things together?
We need to go back to the stated verified income type of deals that we had during the boom. And yes, we had the housing crash. I was definitely involved. I was a young woman. I definitely didn't understand what was going on at that time, but I 100% understand what's going on now. Those programs are available to developers and business owners currently who are in the real estate space, right? And with that being said, I feel like that should be offered to any American who can really prove that they still work, okay? And that they have the eligibility of the other guidelines that need to be included, such as you need 2 years to have a credit card, which is a 24 months. You need 0 by 30 on your current rent statement from the property that you rent. You need a letter from your landlord saying that you have been paying your rent on time. You also can get referrals or letters of recommendation from your current employer saying that you have been doing a great job at your current job and you are looking forward to being there for much longer. These are the things that we had prior. Yes, we do need to show that you can make the down payment, but please, I could get a gift. I could go get somebody to give me $25,000 and put it down on a property, but that doesn't mean anything because can I still pay my mortgage at the end of the day after I get my $25,000 down payment with inflation at an all-time high? No. So that stuff, what to
That's the
me is
Jedi mind trick in it.
right.
Yeah.
That to me doesn't make any sense, but that's because why? I'm in the business. I'm knowledgeable. I understand
Right.
what is being said. How many people don't understand what is being said?
Well,
It
that is the
sounds
big
good. It
problem.
looks like a party. Patti LaBelle, everybody, yay! It's amazing. Listen, like my sister told me, they upped the ante from the RNC, right? And I get it. It's a play-by-play, right? But at the end of the day, you still never came up with the solutions. It was only bullet points.
And the thing is, I think people are scared of the solutions because they know how to make the money, right? And
Right.
so at the end of the day, if we follow the money, that's where we're going with this. We've got this war in Israel, we got this war in Ukraine, and we've got all kinds of money going all kinds of spaces. And then they're asking us to take our tax money, pay for the migrants, pay for the Ukrainian war, pay for all these wars, but get nothing for ourselves. So I just believe that with Trump, we have an opportunity to make a difference for ourselves. And it's not so much about jumping on and, Trump is the great white hope. It's not that. It's
No.
the fact that he's willing to work outside of the box
Oh,
of what traditions in America are usually that they are and that they're not. And so because of that, we're going to look to see how the American people feel. It's very important for everybody to get on board and be on board. And shout out to Billy McFarland and the whole crew that just released the Trump song On Board by Kodak Black and Fabio Foreign. So we are out there. We are ready to do this work. We got another, let's just say 60 days, people, 2 months to determine what our next 4 years looks like, maybe even 8. So let's do the right thing by America. Let's be strong and let's focus. This is your host, Jania Butler of the New American Perspective on Millennium News 24, and I will see you next week. I am a citizen. So